everybody that's in the continental US at least. Thank you for sharing a few minutes of your time today for what we're calling the post-COVID-19 to-do list for gift card incentives. I am honored to have me esteemed amigo, Rudy Garza, who Rudy is our Vice President of Operations and Certified Incentive Professional, and is also a present volunteer on the IRF board. Rudy, what are you doing with IRF?
Oh, good question. Glad to be here, Mike. It's always a pleasure to share the airwaves with you. And yeah, so this past year, I started working with the IRF Research Committee. I wanted to get involved in some way, and that seemed like a great fit for me. It's an opportunity to work with the research advisors. So currently, Alan Schweier and Rick Garlick. And so they're the ones that are actually putting together all the research and the papers and so forth. But as a part of the committee, we get to review their research, offer feedback, and provide some discussion, and maybe in some small way shape the outcome of their research. And so it's a great opportunity to be involved and help with all the research that they're producing and distributing.
Good. Well, that means you're going to answer any hard questions that come in, because I am Mike May, president of Bright Spot. I was the chairman of the Incentive Research Foundation in 2019, but have rolled off the board. So Rudy's involved now. Let's see, last week, we also did one of these to-do list webinars that was focused on channel incentives. If you're interested, when we send out these slides, there will be a link that you can click on this slide to the webinar recording, or you can find it a text write-up on our blog that we've posted. And then next week, we're going to do one that is to-do list for incentive travel. We will take Q&A today. We'd highly recommend send in a few Q&A questions on the using that button. And since we're talking about gift cards, we thought it was only appropriate to do a gift card drawing. So whoever sends in the best question in the sole judgment of our marketing manager will get their name drawn.
I love the options that you have on there, Mike. And so it's really something for everybody, electronics, or if there's any foodies out there for Williams-Sonoma, which my wife is one, or beauty products. And so I like, while I'm a big fan of Amazon, I like that Amazon is not on this list for our drawing.
Rudy, why don't you, before we jump into our 8 to-dos, why don't you share an introduction, just the definitions to level set for this call?
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about cards, we're talking about two different types, two very distinct types. One is prepaid cards, also known as open loop cards. And those are your Visas and in some cases MasterCard. They're widely accepted everywhere, as that infamous commercial said. They're typically the points are already on there, or the funds are already preloaded, and they act pretty much like a debit card. So you can use it anywhere you shop and have complete flexibility. We'll also talk about branding opportunities that are available with prepaid cards or open loop cards such as Visa. Closed loop, on the other hand, is only for single merchants. And so as you see on here, an Amazon card, Lowe's card, AMC, movie theaters, obviously those are just available for those respective merchants or retailers. And so while they don't offer the same flexibility as a Visa card does, they still offer flexibility within those given merchants, and I think offer even more daydream value and trophy value than a Visa card would.
Yeah, good. Well, we certainly do a lot of both, and we're actually going to start with an audience poll here on that to see if they listen to your definition. To ask, is Amazon an open loop or closed loop card? So if you could select one of those options, open loop or closed loop. And let's see, Michael, our audience, our marketing manager will give everybody a few seconds here and then display the answers. Rudy, can you hum the Jeopardy theme song?
I would, Mike, but I know that you'll just mute me, or our marketing manager will mute me, so I'll refrain. Maybe I'll sing a closing number at the very end for those that hang on.
All right, let's see. Michael, do we have results? Closed loop and open loop. So Rudy, we have a large number of votes for closed. Your slide showed it, but we debated this yesterday in our prep. What would you say about that?
Yeah, so congratulations to all those who said closed loop. So the 94% of you who said closed loop. It is technically a closed loop because it is a single merchant card that you can only use at Amazon. However, for those who answered open loop, you're not entirely wrong, because as we all know, Amazon offers anything and everything, and so it is quite expansive, the variety and the flexibility that you have with Amazon. So if I were to answer this question, Mike, I would say it's 94% closed and 6% open. Open.
Yeah. Well, it's it is a little bit of everything. Let's jump into the to-do list here. Let's see. We're going to start off with curate a daydream catalog.
Yes. So let's see. There's a lot of fantastic choices on here as I look around. I'm curious to know if our audience had, I'm going to go big, $250 to spend with any one of these gift cards, what would you get? Now, this is not a poll question, but it's just a rhetorical question. And if you're thinking about it, then surprise, surprise, I got you to start daydreaming. I'm going to use a fancy term now here, Mike, that I know you're familiar with, and that is evaluability, which refers to the daydream value of that a gift card offers. And so as I think about what I want to get from Lowe's or Home Depot, then all of a sudden the perceived value of that gift card starts to increase. And so it's great that it offers that. It also offers, as you have here on this slide, guilt-free splurging, which is another big word, justifiability, right? And so I have no guilt when I spend any kind of gift card that I've received because it was a free gift. And so I'm justified in making any purchase that I do, as opposed to if you were to give me a cash reward, I might think twice about spending that on whatever I want, and instead think like, oh, should I buy, or should I pay a bill, or should I buy something else that is needed versus something that I might want or daydream about. But at BrightSpot, we curate a catalog, a gift card catalog for our clients. We work with over 60 merchants in this closed loop sector. And so that offers a lot of choice, but sometimes we think that choice is good, but too much choice is not so good. And so we actually narrow that list down for our clients to the top, what we think are the top 10 most wanted and the top 25, to just narrow that list down. I think you may have said it before or something, maybe I read it, but typically Amazon, Starbucks, and Target are at the very top of that list, but obviously there's more than that. But we, curate a catalog for our clients, and in order to do so, we're not just picking anything and everything, but we want to pick the right mix of cards that will motivate your employees, because that's what this is all about, is motivating and incentivizing and or engaging your employees.
Yeah, what I love about this, Rudy, is there's a saying that says choice is motivation in and of itself. And as we all thought when we went through that, it caused us to think, if we picked one of these, what would we redeem it for? BrightSpot also does a huge amount of prepaid open loop cards, as you call them. But studies show that most redemptions of open loop cards are spent on gas, groceries, and fast food, which are all disappearing awards. So curating the catalog here gives people choice and that opportunity for the guilt-free splurge.
Yeah, definitely, and more lasting trophy value.
Mm, another good word. So our second to do here is to join the herd. And here's what the herd is doing. The herd in 2020 and 2021 is drifting towards a growing popularity with gift cards. The image on the right is from a recent IRF Outlook study on merchandise and gift cards, and it showed that that companies were spending 19% more on gift cards. So, the gift cards we say are good for short-term contests. When people, if that's a month-long contest or maybe a quarter, short-term spiffs, spot awards, they're good for learning. I said something once it was in an IRF meeting. I said, yeah, it's interesting. If you give somebody a $10 Starbucks card for something, you're a nice person. But if you gave them a $10 Visa card, they're going to think you're a bum because they're going to associate the value of whatever they were doing to $10 and say, you only valued what I did at $10, where the closed loop card becomes a nice gesture. In the lower left, you see the name of the study. Several of our slides are going to reference that study. You can access that at theirf.org. You can also sign up for free to get future research from the IRF. Brand the wallet.
Yes, moving on to, let's see, to-do number 3, brand the wallet. So specifically when it comes to Visa cards and or open loop cards, they offer the opportunity for some branding. And so on the left, you see an example of a card that is co-branded. And so I remember when I first started, I'm like, what do you mean co-branded? Well, obviously, in addition to the Visa logo, you can add your logo there on the top left. And so that offers co-branding opportunities. And then if you want to spend a little bit more and really wow your participants and winners, you can go for the fully custom branded card, which offers complete flexibility and I think maybe 4-color, if not more, design with it. Obviously, those come with the cost, and so typically the tipping point for us to offer that or to suggest that is if you have an audience of 1,000 or more, or you're going to be fulfilling 1,000 or more cards. If that is the case, we would absolutely recommend that you either co-brand or go fully custom. But again, it's when they're going to stick a physical card in their wallet or their purse, it'd be a great idea to have your logo go along with that.
Yeah, and the full custom is you see that that's where that 1,000 kicks in, because the issuer has to pre-print and hold the plastic in inventory, but the co-brand can be done a little bit less expensive and a little lower quantity. Okay, this has got a lot going on, Rudy. What is this?
It is. It's a little bit of a busy slide, but it's a good one. So in addition to branding the wallet, if you're going to do a physical Visa card, but when it comes to digital delivery, which I think might be our next to do, you definitely want to have the opportunity to brand the email. And so this shows multiple ways where you could either brand and or personalize an email to a recipient. And so in this case, it is an e-card email. And in here, you can see the numbers that are listed. So 1 and 2 are kind of similar, but instead of this coming from just a generic program headquarters and or an info@ email, it could actually come from a specific individual and their email address. You can include a personalized subject on there that talks about what they're about to receive and or open. You can definitely include a personalized message that speaks to the action that resulted in them receiving this award. And then you can also include a closing, like in this case, enjoy your e-gift card and so forth. You can see more so on that mobile device, mobile phone, where the park and company has its logo on there. And so again, in addition to this personalized messaging, you can add your logo, your company logo, your program logo, whichever it might be on here. Again, just another opportunity to get that in front of your employees and or participants.
Yeah, Rudy, I would also say the flip side of this tip is the number one most common mistake, the number one most overlooked opportunity to promote a company's brand. Rather than buying a card at Walgreens and just handing it to an employee or putting it in an envelope, is to take advantage of those messaging opportunities.
Definitely.
Okay, let's see. Our next tip or our next to do is to match the reward to the achievement. So, a common mistake that we also see is where the sponsoring company is asking for a large effort, but then they're pairing that effort with a small reward. The chart at the bottom shows the distribution of awards across, across the whole spectrum. Interesting that $50 and $100 are the most common awards. As small as 10. I also found it interesting that they're around 200 and 250. It spikes up again. So interesting distribution. And I think here we have another poll for our audience. So this is asking, what is the golden amount? The golden amount where you can get maximum motivation for the minimum cost. And I think you can even, if you want to go crazy, you can click multiple options here if you want to hedge your bet, or if you're thinking in one scenario, I would go with a certain dollar, and in another scenario, a smaller dollar. The golden amount. This is a term I heard somewhere when I was involved with the IRF, and I looked for it last year, and I Google searched everywhere, and even the Google couldn't point me back to the answer to this question. So Rudy, the people that are dialing in today are going to get some valuable information from us.
Yes, they are. Ooh, look at that. Wow.
Wow, yeah, that is really fascinating distribution. Okay, so I'll go first and say, when I last saw the answer to this question, it was about 5 years ago. And in that study, the golden amount was $75. In my opinion, I would say that golden amount has probably increased to $100 now. When Rudy and I were prepping, I made a statement. I said, I would say for the average professional, $100 is a good award. And what did you tweak me with, Rudy?
I said, Mike, I think you might be correct when it comes to professionals, but for hourly employees who might earn a little bit less, they can get very excited about an even lesser amount, like 25 or 50 or anywhere in between. Again, I think a big part of it is the compensation that people are currently earning. The dollar amount of the award is based on their compensation. So so definitely a higher amount for higher earners, and then I think a smaller dollar amount for lower earners can be just as motivating. And it's interesting that this matches the IRF study in that I think it was a combined 79%. Their study showed had $100 or less. Mm-hmm. So so that's right on.
Yeah, that's very.
And I think their average, if I remember correctly from the IRF study, was 120 to be exact. So so somewhere around there is that golden amount.
Yeah, certainly we would recommend looking at what's your ask? Are you asking somebody to just take a 15-minute learning exercise, or go through and work on a 4-hour certification?
Yeah, the other thing I think, Mike, that this lends to or mixes really well with, when I just think of incentives as a whole, and you think about the audience of your top 20, your middle 60, and your bottom 20, like typically it's those higher achievers that are earning the more glamorous, grander award, like a trip, an incentive travel award. But then, like, especially if you've got a tiered program, second prize and or third prize are typically merch or gift cards, and it's typically a lower amount. And so I think this aligns really well with that.
Rudy, sorry, I clicked the slide, but that wasn't meant as a message.
You're wanting me to stop wasting time, so I'm going to move on to the next item.
An accident.
This one, I just, every time I see it, is shocking. It's flabbergasting to think that 61% of those that answer this question, this IRF question, said that they go to their local grocery store or drugstore to go buy gift cards. I just think that's so shocking. And if there's any silver lining in that, I think that's down from 69% from the 2 years prior. But obviously that adds to high fulfillment and labor costs, the time that it takes to drive to that store and to purchase the cards. If you're purchasing numerous cards, you can be in line for a while and the people behind you are gonna sneer at you because you're taking so long. Typically, you know, for those, in those cases, if they're buying it at the grocery store, drugstore, they then are FedExing it to their recipients or their employees, which is just adding to the cost. And in addition to that, they might just stick that inventory of cards in a desk drawer, sometimes an unlocked desk drawer, which creates opportunity for loss or theft or anything like that. So yeah, this is definitely something that people need to stop wasting their time on. They definitely need to hire a company like us that offers a incentive platform. And I know we'll get to that in a second, but without a doubt, stop wasting time going to the store.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that our platform does, there are other companies that do this also, is I would say leverage digital delivery on your to-do list. So we have APIs created that will immediately and automatically send the award, which gives instant gratification. In this day and age of COVID, it's also contactless. So that's that digital delivery is something where your attendee could redeem, and within as short as 5 minutes, they could have the reward in their inbox. Rudy,
Right.
you talked about technology for a second.
Yes, yes. So this is almost the flip side of the previous one that I was talking about, because an incentive platform, if you want to move on to the next slide, will offer you these three things. It'll simplify your program. It'll, because of instant gratification, will add to speed to delivery. And then, as I mentioned before, with regards to the weakened internal controls of doing this manually, this offers improved internal controls. According to that IRS study, again, it showed that that incentive budgets would be increasing roughly 26%, a 26% investment in incentive technology. And so that's a great thing. This is an example of our award-winning Ignite incentive platform, gift card catalog specifically, and it offers an incredibly great user experience, UX. It literally is like shopping at retail, where you can add things to your favorites, add things to your cart, just like you're shopping at any retail store, and then you can check out. And literally, as you said in your previous point, within seconds, they'd get that instant delivery. So without a doubt, the pro tip here is to leverage technology and invest in technology.
Good. And I think our last to do is say thanks. Our mama told us to be sure to say please and thank you. And thank you applies in a business setting as well. You know, to use those message options that Rudy talked about with the email. You could include video even. There's another IRF study. This one was probably 3 or 4 years ago, but this one amazed me, that said 50% of the total award experience was not the award itself, but that in fact 40% included the way the award was presented. So saying thank you with a note in a in-person, you know, maybe it's a public setting, as well as any professional development implications. So only half of the award is the award itself. So it's a great reminder to reinforce the reason somebody's getting that card, say thanks, and connect the dots. So we've pretty much right on time here. We've hit our Q&As portion. As a reminder, we'd like you to send in any Q&A by clicking the button that says Q&A. Type in your question. Rudy and I will see that, along with our helper, Michael, from the marketing department. And you got a chance to win. The odds are always good on these webinars because there's usually not a whole lot of questions.
Yeah, and the odds are in your favor for sure.
Quick promo while people are typing in those questions. On our website, if you type in this short URL of gift cards, we have a really nice page that we added last year that talks about a lot of these terms, some of these tips, some of the techniques that you can leverage for gift cards, as well as our director of incentive technology wrote this ebook on choosing an incentive software platform if that's something you need. So let's see, Michael, do you want to do the Q&A for us?
Sure thing. All right, first question from Heather. What's the most successful incentive program you've run for virtual events?
Whoa, most successful incentive for virtual. So I'm guessing, Michael, that means getting people to participate. And actually, one of them, somebody told me the other day, they were talking about wine and whiskey tasting, where I mean, this isn't necessarily an incentive on the back end, but we were having a conversation about lowering costs, and we said, well, we could ship out half bottles. And they said, no, I want to send out full bottles because people feel very compelled and obligated to attend. But we have seen where there's been follow-ups where one client said, okay, tell us which was your favorite wine in the wine tasting. And if you take an appointment with our salesperson, we'll follow up with your favorite wine. So it may not have been a gift card. Certainly, I will say we've also done a lot. People do a lot with Amazon, but back to Rudy's point, I think Amazon, people don't always mentally project what they're spending it on. So if you could theme the gift card to match the theme of the event, such as if you were doing something about wellness, maybe you give them something at an athletic store. All right. What's another one, Michael?
This one's from Leanne. What do you think are the preferred types of cards for the recipients, open or closed loop?
Ooh, that's a great question, Leanne. I would say it depends. And I'm not hedging, but I would say it depends on the actual audience that we're talking about, and the amount of the award. And so, as we mentioned before, kind of that golden amount for gift cards, single merchant closed loop gift cards is right around $100. And so if that's the amount of investment that you're making for your winners or your recipients, then gift cards, closed loop gift cards are a great option. Again, it offers flexibility there within those merchants. If you have higher earners and people who are winning $500 and or $1,000 for different types of behaviors and or more, then I would definitely suggest an open loop card like a Visa, or for an international audience, a virtual MasterCard. Those will definitely be your higher earners and are earning more. And so definitely want to provide maximum flexibility for those earners.
I will say, Rudy, I'd add, in North America, we do a lot of channel incentive programs, and in those, Visa is very popular. Internal employee programs, often the HR exec says, we already have a comp plan. I don't want to do a cash-like award. Do a closed loop card. But I think a good rule of thumb is that $500 amount. If somebody's doing a really big card, give them a Visa, but less than 500, let's engage their mind with that Daydream catalog. Michael, fire another one at us.
All right. Stay on the topic of closed loop versus open loop. So can you speak, this one's from Tim, can you speak to the relationship between the award amount in dollars and a closed loop versus open loop reward? In other words, if you have the higher reward values, do you think it is better to offer closed loop rewards or open loop and vice versa for lower value?
Yeah, I would say that kind of is a good follow-up, Michael. The higher value, I would probably go with open, lower value, closed. as I said a minute ago, sometimes if we offer somebody a $50 Visa card for something, they just don't mentally go through that daydream process of how they're going to spend it. They know if they get it, they're probably going to spend it at the grocery store. But if it's a closed loop, much like when we had that screen up, and they think, am I going to get Best Buy, or do I want a Starbucks card and cover my coffee for several weeks? That engages their thought process, which then creates a behavioral, what do they call that? Human behavior connection back to the desired activity.
Yeah, it's amazing how much more motivating a $25 Starbucks card is versus a $25 Visa card. But then to your point, I think earlier in the webinar, Mike, it's also amazing what people spend a Visa card on. Even higher earners, and large amounts are spent for non-trophy value items like groceries and gas and fast food.
Got a few more here. This one from Kelly. In the virtual world that we're in, do you think physical plastic is going to die out?
That's another great question. This is a smart audience today. I will say, just in the last year or so, we've reached the tipping point where digital delivery has exceeded plastic. There's a little bit of a generational difference. While I hope I'm very tech savvy, there's still something that makes me feel good about having that plastic. And I just feel like, while I know I work in the industry and I know I can go use my phone, I just feel comfortable about getting plastic. So the younger generation likes digital. They know how to put it in a wallet. Older, plastic. The other thing is, depending on the delivery, if you're using them in a contest, in maybe a call center, a sales center, if you're out doing a sales blitz and you want to physically hand something, that's a great use of plastic. But we've definitely tipped where digital.
Mike, I'm 8 years younger than you, so that makes me part of the younger generation. So I definitely prefer the digital delivery, and so I can hear taps playing in the background when it comes to physical plastic.
Hey, Michael, I see a one question here that I really like too. Maybe you're going to get to that. Would you choose the type of card, such as Best Buy, Amazon, et cetera, based on the age of the recipient and whether they are part of a worldwide location? So, Rudy, how would age affect the selection, and as well as geography?
Yeah, so I guess a couple things. You kind of hit on this a second ago when you talked about the different generational differences, and so definitely, and again, this is stereotypical, but different. Typically an older crowd might prefer the physical card, while a younger one would prefer digital delivery. But then again, as far as age, I see age as less a factor as I do compensation and/or earnings. Again, the higher they're compensated, then more open loop; the lower, than closed loop.
Rudy, I know one of the clients you worked closely with was in the retail space, and they were doing a lot of $10 awards to younger employees. And I know we didn't do something like Nordstrom or Tiffany's or Neiman Marcus, where $10 isn't going to get you anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Great point.
I remember we used sandwich shops, things like that, maybe, or.
Yeah. So it's a lot of the popular ones, and so Amazon, Target, movie theaters, Fandango, and the like.
And maybe on the global, we've mainly talked about North America here, but we do have some in global locations. Sometimes they're using vouchers, which feels sort of old school to us in North America, but we have international vouchers in a number of countries that we handle, as well as Rudy mentioned the virtual MasterCard, which is great. Like trying to ship to Brazil is very problematic, but fulfilling a virtual MasterCard to a winner in Brazil gives that direct delivery.
Yeah. And not surprisingly, for our international audience, where we offer e-vouchers, in that case, the Amazon-like merchants are the most popular. So not surprising at all.
Michael, I know we're just a few minutes over our target time. Why don't we do one more question and then you pick our winner, but Rudy and I will stay to answer any of the other questions that have come in.
Okay, great. I think we got one more here that I want to get off. So, love the idea of a daydream catalog. Meredith asks, how do we go about getting our hands on a gift card catalog from Brightspot?
Well, let's see. Michael is our marketing manager. You would know that that one page has some of the sample shots, but then we can also sync up with their salesperson and give them a list. Rudy, you referenced earlier that we actually we have 3 lists that we like to go to. One that we call a top 10, another one top 25, and a third one that's top 60. And the way we recommend using those is we often will suggest the top 10 if it's a very, very short contest, such as a 1 month. Because while choice is good, too much choice can be overwhelming. So in a very short-term contest, we'll go with that short list. On the other extreme, if it's going to be a contest that's open for a full year, we may go with the full, what we call top 60 list.
Yeah, we would love to hear from Meredith, so please do reach out to us.
And Michael, why don't you tell us the first name of who you thought had the best question, and then once you if you want to make that announcement, we will follow up with that person where they can pick their choice of any of those 3 cards that we highlighted earlier.
Yes. So a lot of great questions. I think the top is going to go to Leanne. So we'll follow up with Leanne, and you can pick your favorite $50 gift card from today's selection.
Okay, let's see, Michael. We'll probably have a bunch of people drop off now that that we've announced the prize. But to add value to those that remain, if somebody asked a question that has not been answered yet, you want to read us another one?
Yes. So when do you recommend implementing a reloadable Visa card? Maricel asks.
That is a fantastic question. Was it Maricela? Was that the name?
Yes.
So great question. Here at Brightspot, we manage both short-term incentive programs that we call SPIFs or long-term annual recurring programs. And so for a reloadable Visa card, we would definitely recommend that in the case of an annual recurring program, because typically people are going to earn multiple awards over the life of the program. And so it's easier just to reload that one card that they already have in their wallet or purse, but definitely not so for a short-term 3-month SPIF, if you will.
Yeah. Rudy, reloadable is interesting. It's a paradox in our space because when I talk to clients and prospects, all of us as business people intuitively expect reloadable to be cheaper because we realize, okay, that's going to avoid sending out another piece of plastic. It's going to avoid the postage. It's going to avoid fulfillment costs. But the paradox is that a reloadable card is actually more expensive because it comes with a 24-month life, and therefore Visa, MasterCard charge a very small amount every month to keep that card alive on their system, as well as the issuer knows that they're going to get a few more phone calls of people asking if the card still has a balance or not. So it's not much. It's only about 1% or $1 on $100 more, but it is a little more expensive. But as you said, if they're going to have frequent loads, reloadable is a great product.
Great.
Those were great questions.
Another question, if we have some time. What about cards that might become obsolete due to retailers going out of business?
Oh man, that is a fantastic question. That is, that's what they call being out of luck. And yeah, that nobody ever thinks about that. Oh, there was a time, what was it? Sharper Image was the name of the company. This industry used to do a lot of Sharper Image cards. They, Sharper Image always had those kind of cool, quirky things. So it was a chance for somebody to get something that they always wanted, but maybe they'd never actually spent money on. But when they went out of business, that led to people getting stuck. Now, the good news is if the company goes bankrupt Chapter 11, those cards are typically honored and can be used for a while. But if they go Chapter 7, which we call toes up, you're completely dead. People are just out of luck. I will say Brightspot monitors that and tries to monitor any retailers that, if we're hearing rumblings that they could have financial issues, we pull them from the catalog.
Another one from Tim. When offering an open loop reward, do you generally see return winners select the same option, or do people generally select different options?
Yeah, so maybe a little bit confused with the question, because open loop refers to Visa. And so if the question is really referring to closed loop, then definitely, without a doubt, we see the same ones rise to the top. And no surprise at all, Amazon is typically the #1 redeemed item. It used to be Starbucks and Target, but now, without a doubt, it's Amazon. In the closed loop section, again, open loop, primarily Visa and virtual MasterCard are the offerings.
Excellent. Yes, Tim clarified. Yes, he meant closed loop. So
Okay.
thank you. Let's see.
We
got
knew what you
one
meant,
more.
Tim.
Yeah, Tim's on it. All right, we got one more question here. Since there are limited in-person events in the modern climate, Derek asks, what is the best way to acknowledge someone virtually?
Yeah, I'm fighting the urge to go back to that slide that had the iPhone on it and had the messaging options that Rudy recommended to brand the email, where, as an example at our company, we have a monthly award we do called LOVE, L-O-V, not E, but L-O-V, which stands for Living Our Values. And if we see somebody living our values, we recognize them. They get a digital delivery, but that delivery includes our internal love logo. There includes a note from me that says, thank you for living your values. I think they figured out by now that I'm probably not sitting there, typing it to them directly, but it's a good chance to reinforce that message with a digital delivery, even though we can't recognize somebody face to face. Michael, did I hear you say that was the last question?
Yes, I believe we've worked through the Q&A list so far, but as always, feel free to reach out to us with any questions you may have afterwards. We're happy to get those answered for you.
I know the question that always comes up is, will slides be available? Michael, you'll send slides, probably tomorrow? Or?
Yeah, actually, we'll probably have them up later this afternoon, as well as a recording of today's webinar, if you'd like to share that around.
Good. All right. Well, to everybody that joined, thank you so much. We went a few minutes over, but we really appreciate you sharing your valuable time with us. Hopefully the information we shared is a good practical to-do list. Whether you do that yourself or if you look to an agency like Brightspot to assist you, we of course would love to. That page that I mentioned earlier on our website, if you just go to our website, search gift cards or look under incentives, you'll see it has a lot of great information, shows some of those leading merchants, also some of the tips that Rudy and I shared today. So everybody have a very good rest of January, a happy 2021 and a safe 2021. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.